My name is Rachel. I have been married to my college sweetie Mark for 3 years now. Mark is a carefree, easygoing, and eater who has made it to the finals, the TV shows, the Food Challenge Championship, weighing in at around 330 pounds. His stomach was the size of a small room. And he could consume up to 100 plates of fried chicken wings or exercise pizzas. He also drinks 10 2-liter bottles of Coca-Cola to refresh his palate. But it doesn't seem to be enough for him. Since he had an enormous appetite, Mark was always a struggle. He says he eats very light meals, but still, out of his monthly salary of $2,800 is spent on food. The Angel's coefficient, which indicates the proportion of food expenditure to total expenditure, averages just under 30, but our figure is over 90. Since we own our home, we do have housing costs, but we are behind in fixed expenses such as utilities and bills. We have often had our electricity stopped because we couldn't pay on time. Mark's family has been providing fur support to help us make ends meet. Mark's family only consists of him mother. After our marriage, my mother-in-law has been living alone in an apartment. She is also known as one of the biggest stars in the neighborhood. No matter how much she eats, she still manages to stay thin, and even Mark has noticed that she eats a lot. She is obsessed with food and devours everything that is put in front of her. She is a literal machine that just juices. Mark would laugh while describing it. Sometimes, Linda would invite us to an apartment. But when it comes to eating together, anything related to food, she would bully me.
Welcome. Thank you for coming all the way here. Here, please sit.
When Linda invited Mark and me into her place, she first made us sit in chairs. From where she stands, she looks down with a smile, but there's always a hint of sadness in her gaze. It's as though she's trying to bully down the hateful woman who took away from her what she had so carefully raised.
Oh, I'm sorry, Rachel. I went to buy a cake for the two of you, said that both of you were come visit me, but the shop only had 20.
One small, empty white plate was in me.
I think there's something in the the storage, so you're free to eat from there.
Linda says so, but the pantry is a little far away from her place. There's no way I can tell which one she looks at. I can only give a fake smile to her, but it's unnecessary. This always happened when we visited Linda, and all the main dishes, like barbecue meals and desserts, were all made by Linda for Mark and her, but I was never allowed to help. I don't mind them doing that with a dish, but I'm fed up with being harassed about it every time.
Hey, Mark. I only have this plate, and I've got one more.
I decided to consult Mark about it, but Mark wouldn't even look at me to care.
This cake is from that cake shop, right? It's soon good.
He munched onto the cakes and says,
Mom said they didn't sell it, so I can't be helped, right?
Well, no. I mean, every time I'm here, all I do is get this white, empty plate.
I had no choice but to clam up.
Mom, you really know my taste buds.
I married him because I liked how Cal was, but he really has no consider his own wife. I grew more and more disgusted day with the insensitivity of Mark, who questioned Linda about how she bull. One day, we were invited to have dinner with Linda.
I ordered pizza, so come and eat it. We also have fried chicken, so let's small party.
Mark was so thrilled when Linda called to invite him to her birthday party.
How can something very junky be socked?
As I filled the container with the salsa prepared as a side dish, I thought that I'll probably just eat it as a salad anyway. Compared to Mark, who looked very happy, he let out a huge sigh. When we arrived at Linda's place, her custom to bully me, 5 delivery people brought in 60 extra-large pizzas to her place. The same number of fried chickens, 6 prepared.
I wonder if this would be enough.
Linda asks.
Yeah. Well, if we have about 20 mo of hamburgers, then it would be per.
Mark asks for an additional order. What an appetite. I was just too stunned. What kind of big eaters were they? I muttered in my mind.
I'm sorry. I really love my son, so I want him to eat everything he wants.
Once all the food came, Linda finally sat down and spoke to me.
But that salad you brought, it can be enough. Even the vegetables aren't enough, just lettuce, cucumber, and tomato.
She began to bully me with my salad. Supposedly, Linda's sister and her would also come to visit over later. Their appetite is said to be average, but Mark was the one who says they're so big that you can probably guess how big their appetite was compared to a normal person. I had to put all the pizzas on plates, serve the fried chicken on plates, and other side dishes on different plates. While I was doing all the preparations, Linda forced me to do Mark and Line were just watching TV and laughing hysterically. When everything was ready, I called over.
Fried chicken. What an amazing feast we'll have.
Mark was tapping his flabby tummy a little dance. My mother-in-law, sitting at the opposite table, said,
What's with all this food being served? You really haven't learned our family traditional way of serving food yet.
She looked furious. I was silent, not understanding what was going on.
You're only supposed to have one plate. Why are you arranging the dishes too as the same way we do?
She asks.
Oh, enough. You can just eat the salad you brought in the other room. This is the only dish that you get.
Linda looked offended, and I didn't know what to say back, so I moved to the room. My head was spinning. In the living room on the opposite wall, a huge feast was taking place while eating the salad in the other, got thirsty. I tried asking Linda if I could have a sip of Coca-Cola, but she said no.
Oh, we don't have those anymore in the 2 last ones. Sorry,
she says with a smirk on her face. I had no choice but to drink water from the toilet. I look into the back of the kitchen, an unopened carton of milk sitting in the fridge. They have milk. I picked it up and asked Linda if I could at least drink that, and she answers.
Oh, this milk is for the stray cats. I'm sorry.
And with that, she returned to the feast. She made me do all the preparations feast and then called me out on my manners. She has enough milk to feed Stray K. She doesn't even have anything to G-own son's wife. I really have had enough of this. Now it's my time to show them what. The adrenaline and anger filled my... One day, while I was looking for a chance to get back at Linda, Mark offered me an opportunity to visit his place. As usual, I was being bullied with my plate.
Grandma,
I heard a young voice. The voice was my niece, Kathy's, from the front door.
What's wrong now, honey?
She was standing in the doorway, probably on her way home from kindergarten.
I forgot to bring back the cactus drawing that I made with you yesterday.
I looked into the living room and saw a piece of paper with drawings on it lying on the table in front of the TV.
Well. I'm sorry that I remind you about it.
Linda quickly changed her devilish smile towards me and smiled lovingly at Kathy. Then Kathy came running into the one room. Then she went straight to the cactus and picked up a small one. It must have been a precious treasure. And for Linda, it was a proof of her granddaughter's hard work.
Because you like this one, Grandma, it here. And I'll bring this one, okay?
Kathy picked up the one she had been carrying back home and looked at us.
Oh, Auntie and Uncle.
She realized that we were there. Kathy was so adorable. At that moment, I had a great idea.
Hey, Kathy, are you hungry?
Hearing this, Kathy turned to me and
Yes, I am hungry.
she held her stomach and gave a huge, she said that. She really is very cute.
I see. Well, how about we play a game where whoever can eat more? If you win, I'll buy you the toy you've always wanted.
Really? Okay, I'll play. Oh, there's all my favorite foods or table. I could eat all of them.
Kathy's stomach growled loudly as she sat down to eat the pizza, fried chicken, and large hamburgers that were all in front of her.
Oh, these are mine.
See, Kathy, I'll give you some snacks. Come on, get over here.
I guess Mark and Linda was so greedy they didn't even want to give their grandchild and niece what they have surrounded themselves with. They had very serious looks on their faces and went out of their way to stop them. But Kathy says this innocently.
I like fried chicken and pizzas. Bet. All right, let's get set, ready, and go.
I took the pizza that Mark had left. Kathy took the fried chicken and that were on Linda's plate and ate her mouth full.
Hey, stop it.
My fried chicken.
Mark tried to take the fried food away from me and began to stick his hand in my face, but Kathy said no
Don't interfere with the game.
and slapped Mark's hand hard. Mark was stunned by the shock of being slapped by Kathy, while Linda looked on in disbelief at what was happening before her eyes. Now, Kathy is smothering herself with cake as a dessert.
My pizza is delicious.
Mark stares dumbfounded at the empty on the table.
Well, it's in mine and Kathy's stomach. It's your fault for not eating it, isn't it? You can't just stand there.
If you think that I'm going to stay quiet forever, you're both wrong for this.
Oh, and that's right. There's something I prepared for you.
Mark's eyes lit up and his stomach dropped as he thought I had prepared him for something that he had completely misinterpreted. I took out a document from my bag.
Let's get a divorce.
I took out the divorce papers that carrying around with me since that. Linda and Mark were both surprised by my sudden request for a divorce,
Please divorce me.
and I began to vent out all my past and frustrations at once.
I've been bullied by your mother, but you haven't defended me even once. I'm sick and tired of you eating up of the food. You empty the fridge so much that it's difficult for me to do our daily shopping. You don't even realize that with you low salary, you have been draining precious savings because you don't enough money for food.
And then Linda says this.
I'm bullying you. Isn't it natural that you want your beloved son to eat a full meal of delicious foods? If you put up with your empty white son will be happy, and you, as his, should be happy too if he's happy.
She argued back with such nonsense. My mind completely snapped.
You've got to be kidding me. My happiness doesn't lie in that.
Both Linda and Mark gasped in surprise at my sudden anger. No matter how much I had been mistreated by my wife, I had to put up with it for a time. But when I realized that this attitude was taking Mark and Linda in the wrong direction, I felt disgusted with myself. I decided that I would go all out. I quickly pulled my phone out of mine and began to call.
I'm divorcing Mark because I got bored with him. Linda, please just come to Linda's place.
I said over the phone. And then I waited for 30 minutes. As the fierce battle between Mark and I continued, my mother, Anna, finally arrived at Linda's place.
Are you the ones who are torturing my beautiful daughter?
My mother's angry voice echoed through the living room. My mother is as big as Mark. She was once famous for being a champion in women's wrestling, and she's a fierce fighter who trains male members of the men's national wrestling team E. Her overwhelming power is so huge that on the street people tend to avoid her. Mark and Linda were stunned by the appearance of Anna. and their mouth wide open.
Yes, I'm talking to you.
Mark sounded very scared.
Instead of helping your wife, you have with your mother together to bully wife. Shame on you, shame on you.
I'm so sorry.
Mark repeatedly apologized with tear eyes. And then my mother became a little at this point.
By the way, how did he even get by?
I revealed everything that had happened to me. Mark and Linda, who had been picking on me, definitely took advantage of my silence, that no one would notice that they were actually bullying me. They are bullying me, but by nature what I call cowards who are more concerned about what others think of them. Knowing this, I asked my mother, who is a fierce fighter, to appear this time. My mother grew angry at the number of times I had been bullied. Seeing my mother get angry, both Mark and Linda began to tremble. When my mother finished listening to the story, she told Kathy and me to go and enjoy ourselves at the amusement park nearby. She then disappeared with Mark and Linda into the forest. 2 hours later, when Kathy and I returned to Linda after enjoying the amusement park, we found her slumped over, looking helplessly as if she had been lectured by her mother.
Don't you have something to say to my daughter? What are you supposed to say if you something wrong?
My mother urged Mark and Linda.
I'm so sorry.
They both apologized to my mother at once.
If you want my forgiveness, sign the papers. If you promise to stay away from me rest of your life, maybe there will when I could finally forgive you both.
I understand.
My mother did an amazing job. My mother and I looked at each other and laughed. And Kathy was quietly eating her call table. 1 year had passed since the divorce. Due to my mother's influence, I learned that Linda had bullied me, and she was someone who was hated by many people. From that, she got depressed, and her balance was broken, and her slender figure, which she was so proud of, had changed, and she got very fat. As for Mark, even though I told him to contact me, he sent me messages or demands that we get back together. He's trying his best to get back, but it'll never happen.
Honey, where are you now? I'm worried that you are at home, and shivering from loneliness. I'm living with my mother now. The house without you is nothing to... My mother doesn't cook my favorite chicken anymore. I want to eat your cooking again. Please give me a chance. I will never take away your food again. I will not complain about you with anymore. I'll do whatever you say. Please come back.
What a horror. Reading those messages made me feel nauseous.
Please do not contact me ever again. That would be my true happiness. Goodbye.
I replied with that message, set all Mark's messages to be forwarded to and through my phone into the ocean. I'm so sure that Mark will get a lecture from my mother now, every time he texts now on. And what's more, I'm actually a big myself. I secretly entered a women's challenge competition and ate 20 fried chickens, making it to the semifinals. I kept it a secret from Mark and Lyre this time. On the day I competed with Kathy, we ate about 10 servings each of fried chicken burgers and pizzas. We finished them all in 10 minutes. Kathy also ate about 5 servings, so future she would definitely be a bit. After that incident, I threw away all the white plates, which reminded me of those traumatizing days. Whenever I feel like it, I prepare servings of fried chickens, pizzas, burgers, and enjoy eating them all, mother.
Being jealous over food really is.
Every time my mother and I remember Linda apologizing on their knees, ooh, 6 have a laugh about it.